Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to clue you in on some vocabulary for the environment, and more generally I'm going to brainstorm some ideas for things that you can talk about if you're going to have a monologue about this kind of topic. I'm going to try and group some of these ideas together, but at the same time I'm going to do this more or less on the fly. So the first word we're going to look at, which many students mispronounce, is this word. It is not klimat or klimat, it's climate. 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 The next word we're going to look at is environment. This is not pronounced environment. This N is not pronounced. Environment. Organisms are these little microbial things. Organization is a company. Don't confuse these two things. So, other vocabulary. When there is too much water or when a river overflows, it can cause a drought. This is not an drought, it's called a drought. Drought. We can also talk about floods. If we're talking about the environment, we should also talk about the polar ice caps or icebergs, you can call them, in the poles, and refer to the fact that they are melting. You can say that the ice is thawing, descongelándose. And we can refer to the poles as the north and south poles. Forest fires is also something that's worth talking about. Deforestation, and nice vocabulary would be to talk about arson. So arson is the act of setting fire, also a good phrasal verb to know. Set fire is the act of setting fire to forests or jungles or woodland. And the verb we use is to commit arson. To commit arson, or you could also say acts of arson. And the person is an arsonist. Arsonist. And you can see an example here. There have been no significant incidents of arson in Spain in the last year, for example. And the question, why do people commit arson? Well, often it's because the government, another word that is mispronounced often, government, the N is not pronounced, similar to environment, where the N is not pronounced. There is a lot of corruption in the government. Corruption, not corrupt, corruption. So corrupt is the adjective or the verb, and corruption is the noun. But in both cases, it's an a. And while we're talking about deforestation, we'll talk about land, fields, you can say terrain as well, terreno. Another key word is globalization. As you can see here, all the words that end with ización are always pronounced ization. In America, they pronounce it ization, but in Britain, we pronounce it ization. So you have polarization, generalization, pasteurization, globalization, organization, authorization, trivialization, and legalization, as a few examples. Politics is also a topic you might talk about related to the environment, and you need to be careful with the different types of words related to politics. Politic, the word politic doesn't actually exist. It's a Coldplay song. Politics is the subject or the industry or the system, and the people are politicians. The adjective is political, a political issue, a political problem, or a political party, partido. Speaking negatively about homosexuality or immigration is generally considered to be politically incorrect nowadays. As an example here, what he said about women's rights was politically incorrect. And then number 6, a very key word to learn, policy, singular, policies, plural. This refers to projects that governments introduce. So it's basically a plan. And in Spanish, it's política. And Spanish students often say politic, but that's incorrect. The government has a strict policy on immigration. El gobierno tiene una política muy estricta en cuanto a inmigración. Thanks for watching part 1 of this video. Stay tuned for part 2. Please also like the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care, guys.